there's many people in life who always seem to fall off track. They shoot for the stars.
Come on in, man. Good to see you.
But they wind up right on their back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wind up right on their back. Well, there's many people in life who always seem to fall off track. They shoot for the stars, but they wind up right on their back. Yeah, they wind up right on their back.
Recording that. I mean, you're coming close to this Buck Owens Studio closing.
Yeah, we're kind of halfway finished right now, but the thing is, we recorded the first thing when we went in there. The first session we had 4 songs, and we did pretty much almost everything there. The only thing that hadn't been done yet were the vocals, some light percussion stuff, little filler stuff, and the editing process and the mixing.
They didn't slam us with the whole thing, but then they closed down.
Yeah, we were gonna
in the middle of our session. Like, we're closing it down. This is our deadline.
Yeah, the original plan was do 4 songs, do those 4 songs, then do another 4 songs, and then just kind of keep going until the money ran out.
That was different too, because like that session we played those songs live as a band. We're gonna just go back and overdub vocals, but kind of went faster. But it turns out it's better, I guess, if we do it this way from the bottom.
I didn't get to play with the band.
Oh, there was just not one too few microphones.
Yeah, one too few microphones in a very crowded room.
Yeah. But your overdubs are impeccable. It's great.
So after that, when they told us that they were shutting down, we went in there. We did 3 sessions, and then we recorded 9 more drum tracks. We started off as a band, but then we realized it just go faster if the drum tracks just got put down first, and then we put down other stuff. Then AJ put down his bass overdub. But it's really hard because now that the place is closing down, everybody in the Kaiser wants to get in there, you know, for that one final thing. Stadium Insomnia went in there, they just finished their CD, and all these different artists are kind of trying to jockey for position, trying to get in there as fast as they can, and we're trying to do the same thing.
Hi, my name is Danny Garoni. I'm from the Iron Outlaws, lead singer. We're down here at Fat Check Studios, Buck Owens' old place. We were going to do 4 songs when we first came in, but no one knew it was going to be closed, not even Nick at the time. So then I decided to try to get done as much as we can, book up as much time as we can to try to make a full album. I'm really pushing the band and trying to get it done. As far as knowing what the place looks like or sounds like, I've never been here. That's when we first got here. I fell in love with the place is by walking in the main room and hearing how it sounded just by talking. It just felt like it was so much easier, like I was just at my house or something like that, just playing out my songs. It does look pretty retro to us now, but I'm sure back then it was pretty up to the time. But I actually like the way it feels in there and looks. I like that. Me, especially, I grew up on a farm my whole life listening to country music. I didn't even hear a whole lot of punk rock at all until I was about 15 years old. Or any other, well, I heard a lot of rock and roll too, but old school rock and roll. Even like Dion and the Belmonts type stuff. And but the whole country guys I always liked. Of course Buck, of course Merle Haggard. My dad was a big Merle Haggard fan, huge. And we were listening to that all the time. And of course Johnny Cash was always one of my favorites since I was a kid. I just always liked him, and he's one of the guys that actually recorded here as well. And just for me, that's one of the things I think I felt the best about, just being able to record in a place where a lot of my my favorite inspirations.
So what do you guys think about this studio closing?
No,
it's horrible. Shameful and sad.
I think it's upsetting. I thought if we would have known earlier in time that we could have done something like position it or something, make it like a national landmark because it's got so much history. I mean, like, I felt privileged to be there because it's Buck Owens plays. Johnny Cash is recording there. White Yoakum, Korn did their first album in there. And I just felt privileged and honored to be, in there and actually be one of the last bands, pushing and doing something like, the Bakersfield sound, which made Bakersfield popular. And for us to be in there and be a part of this whole thing.
There's a man right there.
Sorry I'm late. Here though.
Well, the other thing too, it's like,
Get a haircut.
I always thought to myself that the place is kind of like a historic landmark. It's a landmark. It's one of those things. It's kind of like it's like when you hear about if the blackboard would be up right now, that'd be like hearing that they're turning it into like a laundromat. You know, it's just one of those things that shouldn't be happening, but unfortunately,
it sounds good. It sounds really loud, you know, for a new instrument. It's always a good thing in a mandolin because they're always such quiet instruments. I'm Paul Cartwright. I play the violin, the mandolin, in Iron Outlaws. But most of my gainful employment these days has been through session work in LA. I've been doing a couple of TV shows pretty regularly, recording for this one composer in particular, Bear McCreary. I do a lot of work with. He does the soundtracks for Battlestar Galactica, the remake on Sci-Fi Channel, and more recently we started working on Eureka. And the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which I think is on Fox, and we've done a couple of like sort of horror movies and stuff, just other random stuff. We're actually doing a live show next month for Battlestar. We're doing a performance at the Roxy of a lot of like some of the notable themes and stuff from the last couple of seasons. It's going to be hosted by Professor Baltar. I forget what that guy's real name is, but it should be a lot of fun. And other than that, just a random sort of recording with bands, and I do a lot of work with a couple of string quartets down there.
So what are you recording today?
I don't know if I even will be recording. I'm just kind of here to see what they've been working on. Hopefully we'll have time tonight to get through the guitar tracks for the last few songs, and get ready to do my tracking like sometime next week. It's getting down to the wire. But usually, in my experience, it takes like about 4 times as long as you think it's going to take to get anything done in the studio, but this band works pretty quickly, so today mostly I'm just hanging out. I'm messing around with this new pickup and mandolin that I got.
Talk to me about it. Why'd you get it?
I actually helped design this instrument for this company called Crafter. I think they're mostly based on the East Coast. Their instruments are made in Korea, but they're handmade. And they had a mandolin line that was kind of like Ovation guitars that had plastic backs and stuff. And they were they have an endorsement deal with this band that I play sometimes with called Whiskey Falls, and they wanted to redesign their mandolin line, and so they asked me what I wanted to see in a mandolin. And I sent them some specs and stuff, and they came up with a couple of prototypes.
Is it just a bunch of hooey, and does Buck Owens Park closed down years ago, or is there really some kind of vibe here? I mean, what's...
Well, I really, I kind of mentioned earlier, I've in the last few months, I've been in some really amazing studios. I got to record at Capitol Records and Firehouse over in Pasadena the other day, and Sage and Sound in Hollywood, and this place, I walk in and it feels like home. I don't know how to explain it really.
There is home.
Yeah, it's Bakersfield. I mean, it's just this is where I'm from, man, and it's really special in kind of a way that's hard to quantify, in terms of gear or even rooms and facilities. It's just got a great vibe to it, and I'll miss it,
Recording studio, you've got to have, it's been big in the news lately. You got some old stories you like, favorite stories about that place?
I've recorded down there a few times, a couple of my songs, and I played down there on some stuff for Buck a long time ago.
Around what years, do you remember?
It's when I had, ever since the 70s, I think. In and out of there all the time, doing sessions, helping people out.
About how many different sessions, about how many different kinds of country music artists? You know, everybody from all over, or just a select few that you wrote songs for and played in sessions with down there?
No, most of the stuff that I've wrote's been cut in Nashville. I had 30 recorded by Buck Owens, 30 songs, and I've had 6 recorded by Murga, and I ain't through with him yet. Back in, it was probably 67, 68.
What songs were those? Do you remember?
Oh, the ones that he recorded of mine. You Don't Have Very Far to Go. I think called Huntsville. Lucky had some. I had one recorded by Roy Clark, Roseanne Cash, a lot of girl singers. Had a song even recorded, covered with Dave Dudley once. He was my hero, Dave Dudley. 6 Days on the Road. He had that big record out, and I wrote one called The Bullshippers. Got the idea one night at the Barrel House when I was working.
What do you think should happen to that old building? Do you think some new recording studio should move in, or do you think they should turn it into a historical place? What do you think?
Well, that would be 2 good ideas for it. New recording studio or a historical place. I mean, it's a great studio.
Does it bring back any old memories?
Oh, yeah.
Or?
Yeah. Go way back. I used to go down there when Buck had his office down there, Old Bank Booking Agency. And he was booking me then, and Jack McFadden, his manager was. And I go way back there with it.
I'll bounce between all 3 of these speakers, and then because I went out to YouTube, depending on the band, I'll bounce between all these speakers.
Think about when this was, I believe it was opened in 1936. Think about what movies were actually shown here. Because it was a movie theater before it became the Buck Owens Studios. My name is Matt Munoz. I'm the band leader, vocalist, saxophone player for Mento Buru. Based right out of here in Bakersfield, California since 1991. Right here in front of the Buck Owens Studio, formerly Buck Owens Studios. And soon to be formerly Fat Tracks Pig Studios.
You recorded, what kinds of studios have you recorded at?
Oh, all kinds of studios. Home studios, analog studios, digital studios, big time studios, small time studios, you name it, live on stage, that's also a studio. My band's concerned, you know, what I look for my band Mento Buru is we look to recapture the live sound. Everybody always says, well, Mento Buru is definitely a live band. Yes, we're definitely a live band. We love to play live. We'd like that live sound to carry over into the studio, so we always look for something like that. We go looking for a studio, record all our CDs. We've always, you know, done some investigating around different types of studios, look for different samples and stuff like that. Where does the Buck Owens Studio fit in? You know, as far as like all the different studios we recorded, which this is actually the last studio that we recorded in like the tail end of '06. The last song we recorded for the Bakersfield music compilation. Oh, it's great. You know, the thing about it is that in the recording chamber, the acoustic walls are the original acoustic walls with the acoustic siding, everything, and there's the same. The facility inside hasn't changed as far as aesthetically. All the the walls, everything around it, the soundproofing is still the same. And you know, for as long as it's been around since 1968, it's still in really good shape. So once Fat Tracks moved in to the facilities, all they had to do was just put their sound equipment. I mean, the walls were already ready, and you look for that. You look for that really good sound-proofing walls.
The song, what was the song?
Well, the song that we recorded was La Murga de Panama. It's a classic salsa tune by the late, great Hector Lavoe. He's probably credited as one of the greatest salsa singers of all time. He led a really crazy life. I mean, that whole thing in itself, just talking about the history of that song, could be an entire documentary.
That's what you're going for. But it sounds the same. You have bigger speakers, you're going to hear more bass. Smaller speakers, you're going to hear less bass, but you still hear the character of everything. Calif, that's what I tried.
He recorded Dima's Planets album.
Yeah,
Priscilla. Right here.
Produced it.
Produced it, the whole schmidt.
I'm standing like this. You can look me up on just Nick Fursillo on Google. Google Nick.
Big Studios. Yeah.
In the Fat Track building.
And the 11.
Buck Owens building, but it is Pig
only 18
Studio.
more tracks to go.
Pig lives on.
So was the Korn album actually recorded here?
Yes.
Also, the birthplace of Korn's first album, right here, in that studio, in this room. And you see this console right here? What's the history?
None of that even existed.
This belonged to Jonathan Davis?
Yes. Yeah.
And he did Queen of the Dam, the soundtrack to Queen of the Dam, and Rice on that. And
that one little piece right there?
So it was there.
That was the rig that was on his, that was his personal rig.
For that AD converter?
And when he got it, the tracks were still there, but he was a nice guy, and for the record, he erased it, so you're not going to find him on eBay. See, it's a good guy, Nick Fursillo, you can trust him. That's Mento Buru.
On the video.
And L.
Likewise, if you step over here, this machine that's over here, that's not lit very well, is actually, nobody really uses it anymore because it's sort of obsolete, but actually this machine mastered Act Naturally, Tiger by the Tail, like basically all of Buck Owens' million-selling hits. And it just sits in the corner.
Collecting dust.
So it's only appropriate. It's only appropriate that the next legends, Mento Buru, should be here too.
Absolutely.
Is that right? Mexicans.
That's right.
Who's out there listening to this, watching this, you need to look up Nick Fursillo. We recorded our last CD in 2000. And for everybody who's all into Pro Tools, we're talking about somebody who's mastered it on his own, didn't have to go take no classes, none of that stuff. It's all on his own. He's learned the thing inside out, so you can't, at least you know, this guy's real, right?
It's by the street, man.
By the street, man.
Street.
Real. That was his tribute to Junior Brown, he said. We just had a great time with it. So when we started getting into the mix down process, we had so many tracks. I don't even know how many. You'd have to talk to Nick about it, because we had the horns, we had the vocals, we had the percussion, the bass, guitar, drums. We also had the sounds effects, the guido, the clave. We had all those things layered on it, and we also kind of created like a little party vibe where all of us kind of came into the studios and we clapped our hands and we cheered like we were inside of a party. We wanted to make it a party song. And Nick Fursillo definitely helped us with that. We talked about it, went through different options of what we wanted to do. He was very patient. There was a lot of stuff we kept, a lot of stuff we left out, and we basically drove each other crazy.
Were you pretty happy with your experience? I mean, was it pretty intimate? Was it kind of stale? What was it like?
No, I was definitely happy with the experience. Nick Fursillo had recorded our 2000 CD at his home studio. So when he came over here, when he moved over here with Rick Davis at Fat Tracks, and he moved the Pig Studios operation here with all this equipment, we knew it was going to be great, especially because the facility, like I'm saying, the recording chamber has a lot to do with it. And those walls are so well soundproof that, you know, you went in there, you can feel it even when you're talking, you know. You do the whole clap thing, you check to see if it's echoing through. You know, it's like you walk into a nightclub, you do that whole clap to check the acoustics of the place. If it echoes off your hands, we're going to have some problems here. Some of the clubs don't have any soundproofing at all on the walls. Well, this place was designed to be a studio, professional studio, and it kicks ass. Well, okay, when you hear you get all the tracks together and you hear a rough mix of it. Oh, this definitely, we were all in a state of euphoria at that time, jumping up and down. We're having a good time with it. We were amazed at just, you know, listening back to yourself, and it's a very good feeling. It's a very satisfying feeling, and it's definitely good for the band's morale and the band's self-esteem. We're like, dang, we sound like this? So it's definitely exciting. And especially, but then when you take some time to think about all the greats who recorded in here, thinking, you know, Buck might have been standing in the same place we were and excited about what he heard coming back. This is a studio that he built in '68, you know, with one goal in mind, to make it for musicians, to make it quality. I mean, it was getting written up in Billboard magazine in '68 as one of the best equipped studios in the nation. So right there tells you a lot. And we're talking, you know, all these years later, it was still being used. It's just an incredible feeling. Now, we were excited. I mean, it was nothing but love. You think about the places, you know, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Or should I say that? Did I say that wrong?
Bakersfield Sound.
Yeah, it's Bakersfield.
We try to stand by that.
Nice companion. It's a nice companion piece. You know, it's like we really like the idea of going to a place that had that kind of history where, you know, Bakersfield Sound, like AJ put it best. And to go in there and maybe have some of it kind of rub off on us, and I'll tell you, the funniest thing is when you're recording your stuff and you listen back to it, and you hear all the stuff that you never really heard before when you're playing live, because all those notes kind of go fast, and you listen back and you go, wow, these songs are pretty good, you know. And then at the same time, going in there and there's a certain sound that the room has, you know. My drums sound killer in that place. Everybody's equipment sounds really, really good, and it's not a real sterile environment. So when you're in there, there's a real warm feeling, especially when you're recording. So we thought that would add to the vibe of our music. See behind us, there's been some incredibly innovative sounds that have come out of this town, and for me to be blind about that and to not pay respect, especially when we're playing country tinged, punk rock tinged, rock tinged, rock and roll tinged music, for us not to pay respect to what came before us and not to, you know, count Bakersfield as one of those sources is just insanity. So I think that what we're really doing is we're being really true to the community that we're coming from and the sound that came from this town as well. Whether it be, you know, something as angst-ridden as Korn or Edema or even Spike 1000 or any of those other bands that kind of made a dent or made a huge dent, or something as obvious as a parallel as Buck Owens and Merle Haggard.
Think about, okay, there's like 3 bands who might be the last band recording at the old Buck Owens Studio. Iron Outlaws, you guys. State of Insomnia. And now Dr. BLT's claiming he's the last.
State of Insomnia's already done.
Okay. Well, I don't know, man. You know what? My money's on BLT. Because no matter what, he will always come in at the end. Just when everything's all done. By the way, I got a new song.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, it's kind of a that's cool though. It's kind of a moot point, anyways. I mean, we thought we were the last band playing only because we were the last one scheduled, but then everybody else also scheduled at the same time. So at this point now, it's like, who really wants to be like, we're the last band playing in Vegas and Fat Trash? It doesn't matter. It's a moot point.
And then another engineer moves in.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's never going to be over.
Then who'll be the first one? You know.
Yeah. I say, well, remember when Ray Charles passed away, he opened his studio up to be a museum, so people can go and check it out because he practically lived there. And he kept his clothes there and everything like that and recorded. I say they do the same thing. Yeah. I say they actually bring it back to its original state, the way they opened it in '68, and talk about it. And you're talking about the theater there, the River Theater. If everything's still there intact, well, why don't they remodel the place, man?
Like Trouts here. Like Trouts here. What do you think of the stage
I think it's beautiful. This is the first time I've ever been here.
This is great.
This is the first time ever in my life. My sister actually lives right off of El Tejano. This is the first time I've ever been here. Nice.
The minutiae of recording.
The first time we were here, we were calling on the spirits of Johnny Cash and Buck Owens to. I think it helped because we were all kind of agitated, and I think we were drunk from the night before, hungover, playing a show, and we came in here the first night to lay down tracks, and We all summoned the ghost of Johnny Cash and Buck Owens.
Down and saved all out. I think this place is haunted.
I don't know. I was back there and I was in here all lonesome. Nobody was in the recording booth, and I was back here. And it was scary. I felt like somebody was watching.
I was double dog dared to go upstairs in the dark, and I did. I didn't see nothing, but it felt creepy. I was
Yeah,
like,
ghosts aren't always on call.
They come when they want. I like our song, the ones they pace back and forth like a ghost in the leaves.
I think the main thing is it's just it's a recording room. Recording rooms always have an eerie feel to them because they have stuff to absorb the sound that's silent in here. And if you're in here alone, that's all you hear. It's just the deafening silence.
That guy when he's coming by here. Here we go. Look out for the bike.
They're not always that friendly around here.
I had to leave early in the morning, 'cause they're looking for me. I killed a man, I raped a young lady, I just couldn't let it be. I was walking the hall of a hotel saloon, heard screams and cries coming from a room. I heard with a rush to see what I could do. I saw a man beating a woman blue. I grabbed him by his face and I threw him to the floor. Caved his head in with a dresser drawer. I felt the devil in me. I just had to watch him fall. His